Hello, everyone. Perry here for a brand new Comic-Con exclusive. I am sitting here right now with the team behind Carnival Row. I watched a little of it. So first off, I do have to say congratulations because the scale and scope of the show is through the roof. Travis, I wanted to start with you. We were talking a little bit about it before. I love covering the Blacklist, and the script was originally on the very first Blacklist. So I am curious, what was going through your mind when you found out it got on there, and what was the process like actually getting it made right after that?
The process, wow. I wrote it in film school, so I wrote it a long time ago, like 17 or 16 years ago, and it was like, it wasn't really for anyone but myself, just for an audience of one. I never really thought anything would come of it. And I'd sort of sent it out to Hollywood, because I went to film school in North Carolina. I sent it out to Hollywood through an alumni who had contacted me and said, in a real hushed tones, like, I can't tell you much, but you're going to start getting phone calls. And really from that point on, my life was never the same. And it just really, like, it got a lot of attention immediately, and I was not expecting it at all. Because
did you know what the Blacklist was when it first came out?
I had no idea what the Blacklist was.
Because it was the first Blacklist.
Yeah, it was the very first one. Yeah, so it was like, but it still felt like an incredible honor.
Anything that sounds Blacklist.
Yeah, no,
does make it sound fancy.
And it was like the golden challenge.
I feel like it's either the greatest thing or a Blacklist could be a terrible thing.
I think either is good, right?
Either is good. Extreme.
But it became the thing
I
that
want to be on
people
a
asked me
Blacklist.
about. Like in all my meetings and every meeting I went to, like, what's going on with Carnival Row? What's going on with Carnival Row? And for the longest time I had to say, like, I don't know or nothing, because it was like, it's sort of, despite the fact that everybody really liked it, it sort of languished in development hell for a variety of boring reasons until, very recently.
And what was the thing that pulled it out of development hell? Was it any individual who jumped on, or any single, piece of financing or something that came together?
It was legendary because it was New Line had bought it as a feature and didn't really, had sat on it for a while until they didn't really know what to do with it. And at some point, Legendary came in and bought it from New Line. Because I'd worked with them before on Pacific Rim, and they were really excited about it. And it was Thomas Tull at Legendary who called and said, have you ever considered doing this as a TV show? Which immediately I thought, if I had written it like a week later from when I ended up writing it in film school, I would have done it as a TV show to begin with. So it just felt very, natural to go in that direction.
And Mark, when you step in on something like this with all of your experience, do you read through a script like this? Because it just seems so ambitious to me. Do you just red flag so many things that could be cause for concern?
No, actually, what was so great about the whole production process was never once did we say, this can't be done. Never once did we say there's not enough money for this. In fact, Travis always calls it the irresponsible version of the scripts, and that's basically what we set up. And it just, I think the only compromise we made was like in the first episode. There's a rooftop chase that Orlando's character does, and originally was scripted to be in the rain. And the only reason it's not in the rain is our stunt team said this is not safe, and we're like, okay, well then we won't do it. But we never said we can't afford it.
I love the attitude that you have with this, nothing can't be done. Yeah. Do you think that comes with kind of the changing landscape we're seeing with all the network shows, but then also the streaming services on the rise?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, not even a question. And, I was on the set with Travis for one of the rooftop days, and there's 3 techno cranes, which are these very expensive pieces of equipment. And if you're lucky in broadcast television, you can maybe get a techno crane for 2 out of 9 days. There were 3 right there, and basically if you had just been airdropped onto the set, you would have thought you were on a movie set. It didn't feel like a television set.
Yeah.
Orlando,
I can speak to that.
I want you to speak to the idea of stepping into yet another fantasy scenario, because you have so much experience in that realm. Is there no thing that can kind of make you go wow, I can't believe I'm seeing this on a TV show anymore, or a movie for that matter?
It was when I first read this, I was like, wow, I haven't seen this before. It was to a point that was Travis made earlier, or you made Travis. this takes the idea of this fantasy world and throws it like years later. So like if Lord of the Rings is like the original fantasy world, well, we're like hundreds of years later when the world of elves and men are colliding in the most intricate and unique and effed up and kind of way, and we get to sort of see these characters through a lens where we can sort of empathize and objectify and be objective about it because they're not us. You know what I mean? We can sort of see them and relate to them. I think that's one of the things that I love about, the way fantasy can play into the world, because it really excites and ignites your imagination,
I could not have said that better. That's exactly why I fall for the genre all the time.
Yeah.
David, with your character, so I want to describe this right because there's so many little details in this, I don't want to misrepresent any of it. So you are a wealthy faun who moves into an affluent human neighborhood in defiance of the social order. So I got a little taste of him in the first episode. So when you say defiance, are we talking about peaceful defiance, or is there maybe not necessarily violent, but something a little more brash to how he's going about that?
That's really interesting. Peaceful defiance. So I think when you look at Agreus, it's helpful to understand what it is to be in a community, in a society that's set up one way and set up to allow certain people to progress, and what it is to break through that, whether that is peaceful in whatever way you step through that door or go through that glass ceiling, to yourself may be peaceful. Just like, actually, I'm not going to accept the limitations that society puts on me, but to other people that can seem quite disruptive. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so then you've got this constant conversation in your head of like, am I being disruptive by just sitting here and causing offense to other people? Or am I actually just living my life? So sometimes I think he comes across as being like aggressive or brash or whatever. But I would find joy in just even sometimes just if in the scene, Agreus has to walk from his house to the next door, I'd find joy in looking at the other humans that were around that would sort of just look away and not. Sometimes the supporting artists wouldn't be expecting me to look at them and say hi, and then they would sort of be like, oh. And I think that's him just living his life. So
that pitch makes me so eager to get more. I also want to get more of what's going on here. So this is just from how I read it after one episode, but I will be honest, your character comes across as maybe like a little bit selfish in that approach. So do you find any redeeming qualities to her that we might see grow a little more as the season progresses?
Well, I mean, I think it's really interesting when you play a character who comes across basically in the first episode as kind of a bit of a bitch. Like, let's be honest, kind of a bit of a bitch. Imogen Spurnrose is a very wealthy, very entitled young human woman. And this guy moves in next door. And Imogen spends most of her time at the window of her drawing room, looking out basically to see what's happening, what she can gossip about, what she can be outraged about. And of course the perfect kind of outrage kind of incident happens when he buys the biggest house, not only a house but the biggest house, which is adding insult to injury in the whole of the Finisterre crossing. So I think with Imogen, I absolutely love playing this character who is quite hard to take, really. I hope that people, when they meet Imogen, they're like, oh, please, like, oh, just shut up. Or, I really I invite that, because I think that she is quite an ignorant person when we first meet her, actually, and she has a very, very long way to go. And I think it's really important to not try and make your character too nice, too likable. Like, I did not go there. I did not try to make Imogen like, oh, she's fine. You want to find her like obnoxious and kind of a bit awful.
Realistically complex.
I would say on the subject of Imogen, who's always been a very difficult character to write for that reason. But in seeing, I didn't realize who she was until I saw Tamsin's audition, frankly, because it's like, and then I realized that it's like, oh, this, there's something she brought to it that it was like, she's kind of weird too. Like she's not just this like this superficial whatever, but under it there's this sort of weird eccentricity that it's like she's not this. This is a costume she's put on.
Yeah. That's actually definitely part of the. Did I interrupt you? You want to say something?
It's killing me right now. I'm getting the wrap-up sign, and there's so much stuff I want to know. Please, though, finish what you were just about to say.
Honestly.
I know. This is so hard.
Well, what I was going to say. So I think it's really important, that Imogen actually what she really is a frustrated person. She's frustrated with being treated like a simple woman, and actually there's so much more to her, and I think I've kind of forgotten what I was really going to say. But
Can I just add on to
drop
that?
the mic.
Yes, please.
That I think that because Grace lives next door, I think that's what he finds really interesting about her. There's lots of humans going around doing day-to-day things, mundane things, but he is someone. I think Grace has the ability to see underneath the veneer, and what's going on underneath that veneer is of interest to him. And I'll leave you with that.
I am sold. You guys have to pave the way to a big Ballroom 20 panel later today, and also to the premiere on Amazon August 30th. Guys, thank you so much for your time today. Huge congratulations to everybody out there. Please like and share this video interview, and keep an eye on the YouTube channel because we're going to have more of them coming your way real soon.